Hey, welcome to Tabletop Skirmish Games and part 2 of our How to Play Population Z series. I'm Lee, and in this video I'll be taking you through the key concepts as we prepare to play our first game. In part 1 we built our group of survivors, so now it's time to learn the rules of the game and get them into battle. If you've played skirmish games before, then the following key concepts should be familiar, but if you're new to the world of tabletop skirmish games, then key concepts are simply general rules to keep in mind when playing the game. Let's start with the dice, and Population Z uses 6-sided dice, which will be written as D6. The set number of D6 will be written as 1d6, 2d6, and so on. Sometimes weapons, gear and abilities will ask you to modify a dice result, and you'll simply add or subtract a number from your dice rolls. Anytime you roll a natural 1, that's an epic fail regardless of modifiers. If you roll a 6, that's a great success, and sometimes a target will be so well hidden that you'll need a 7 to hit them. But with only 6 sides on the dice, this is going to be impossible to roll, but a natural 6 will result in a hit. A great success. We use roll-offs to decide who goes first or to settle a disagreement. The player who rolls the highest wins the roll-off. If both players roll the same result, roll off again until one player wins. During the game, sometimes you'll be able to re-roll a result, but note that you can never re-roll a re-roll. Let's look at distance and measurements, and all distances are measured in inches. For movement, measurements for moving are going to be taken from the front of the base to the front of the base along the path the model would move. When measuring range, you'll take a measurement between the models from the closest base edge of one model to the closest base edge of another model. And if one model is higher than the other, measure the diagonal distance. And if any part of the model's base is within the range value, that model is said to be in range. If a weapon has a range of 0 inches, then the models must be in base contact to make an attack with that weapon. And if a model's base is less than 1 inch above the other model, but their bases would be in base contact if they were on the same level, then they are still said to be in base contact. That's the key concepts taken care of. Now let's have a look at what we need to do to prepare to play a game. First up is the battlefield. This is going to be a 36 by 36 inch square gaming surface. We're also going to need something to use as terrain, a measuring tape or gauge, some 6-sided dice. We recommend at least 6 to 12. You're going to need some objective markers, 1 to 10 models for your survivors, 1 to 6 models for NPCs, 40 to 60 models for your basic shuffler zombies, and you'll also need about 1 to 6 models for the special zombies too. Then print off some survivor cards, the group record sheet, and grab yourself a pencil and eraser. With all that taken care of, now it's time to start a skirmish. And the first step you'll need to take is to choose a skirmish. This can be a one-shot or a skirmish that's part of a campaign. Then select your survivors, and you can choose between 2 to 4 survivors, and the number you choose will affect the difficulty level, which we're going to cover later on. Next, we'll set up the battlefield, and we'll use the skirmish plan and the map to tell us where to place all the objectives, buildings, and different NPCs. We'll also place searchable items, and these can be vehicles, crates, buildings, or rooms. If you're playing player versus player, then you're going to have to follow a sequence, and that's detailed on page 28 of the core rules. You're going to roll off, and then the winner will choose the deployment zone. Then you roll off again, and the winner decides who sets up the first survivor. Then players alternate setting up their survivors in the deployment zones one at a time until all are set up. Then you roll off again, and the winner decides who activates the first survivor. If you're playing solo or co-op, then this is going to be a lot simpler, as all you need to do is place your survivors in the deployment zone entry box. Now you've worked through those steps, you're ready to start a skirmish, and the battle commences. Let's have a look at the skirmish map to give you a good example of all the key elements. The skirmish map will detail objectives, zombie types and where to place them, suggested terrain, and key things to place on the battlefield. This is an overview of a typical skirmish map. Here you can see the entry zones where zombies will enter the battlefield as more noise tokens are placed. We're going to cover noise tokens in a future video. The starting zombies, however, are placed all around the map, and you can see we've got different tokens. Some will have brown borders. These represent the shufflers. They're the most basic zombies. Then you've got purple borders, which represent the special zombies. And some tokens will have blue borders. These represent the human survivors and NPCs. You'll notice that the battlefield is divided up into 6 rectangles. These are the zones, and this will help us later on when deciding where and when to place our noise tokens. You've also got a deployment zone entry box and an exit box. So this tells us where our survivors will start and finish the skirmish. You'll also come across other tokens. These are going to be objectives, or in the case of the green and red X tokens, these are going to highlight key features, and you can also use them to keep a track of items and rooms that have been searched. You'll notice that there are buildings, trees and vehicles dotted around the map, and this is a guide. They don't have to be the exact size, but if you can get as close to this as possible, then that would be awesome. And now we're on to the final part of this video, which is the order of play. A skirmish will have unlimited rounds unless specified otherwise in the skirmish plan. Rounds are then divided into 2 turns, the survivor turn and the zombie turn. In each turn, all models must be activated and must carry out their actions. During the survivor turn, player survivors and NPC survivors will activate one at a time, activating in a you go, I go fashion. The alternating activations continue until all survivors have been activated. If NPC survivors are in play, use their hunger rating to decide which NPC survivor to activate each time, working from the highest to the lowest. In the zombie turn, zombies are activated one at a time in order of their hunger rating, again highest to lowest. If more than one zombie has the same hunger rating, activate the zombie closest to a survivor, and if more than one zombie is the same distance from a survivor, you can choose the most obvious to activate or roll a dice. There are 3 things to do in each zombie turn. First, you'll need to move and attack with all zombies currently on the battlefield. Second, you'll have to move and attack with all zombies currently on the entry zone edges. And third, place new zombies on the noise tokens that are placed in each entry zone. And we're going to cover noise in much more detail in the next video. To end the skirmish, we're going to decide whether it's the end of the final round, if that's in play. A specific winning condition has been achieved. There are no survivors left on the battlefield, or a player concedes. Once the game's finished, if it was part of a campaign, follow the post-game sequence in the campaign chapter. But if the skirmish is a one-off game, bask in glory or wallow in self-pity. That covers everything you need to know for the key concepts and preparing to play your first game of Population Z. I hope you found this video helpful, and it'd be great if you come and join me for part 3, where we'll be looking at noise and difficulty levels. So far in the series, we've built our survivor group and gone through the key concepts, and then we've got lots more to look at in this 10-part series. Start with noise and difficulty, we'll go through movement actions, have a look at all the other actions that you can carry out, then go through searching, which is a big part of the game, then have a look at ranged attacks with line and sight and cover, melee attacks with combat assists, we'll go through zombies and NPCs, then everything we need to do to start a campaign, and finally a skirmish overview. If you'd like to find out more about Population Z, then check out the videos I've done where I've gone through a complete book overview of the core book with the Huntsville campaign, and also the Huntsville campaign assets book, which gives you all the cards and everything else you need to play the game. That's optional, but really makes a great addition to the game. Thanks so much for watching the video. Hope you found it helpful. If you liked it, it'd be great if you hit the like button, subscribe for more videos like this one, and I look forward to seeing you here next time on Tabletop Skirmish Games. Thank you so much to my Patreon supporters for helping me to keep going with these regular videos. I couldn't do this without you, and I appreciate your support so much. If you'd like to join the Patreon community, support the channel, get some great perks at the same time, there's a link down below in the description. It'll be awesome to see you there.